Welcome back to the studio. Today we're going to be building this walnut corbel entryway shelf. We're going to show you how we're going to mill up our lumber and glue up our panels for the top using the reverse joint method, as well as some options for attaching your corbels to your top. So stay tuned and we'll be right back. So this is just going to be a simple walnut entryway shelf. We're going to be using these walnut mission style corbels. I'll leave a link in the description if you're interested in those. In terms of our lumber, we're going to be using our reverse joint bit on our router table to join these up and then cutting it to our final size. Now, our final dimensions for our top are going to be 36 inches long by 12 inches deep. Before we join these boards, we're going to go ahead and plane them down to our final thickness. So I'm going to get set up on my benchtop planer and we'll go ahead and get these milled down. So since our material is 1.5 inches thick, what we're going to do is go ahead and get this milled down to 1 inch thick. That way it works with our reverse joint bit. Our reverse joint bit only works for boards that are up to 1.25 inches thick. So we're just gonna go ahead and take these down to 1 inch thick using our benchtop planer here. Now I don't wanna do more than a 30-second at a time, especially with this harder walnut wood here, just to avoid any kind of tear out or stress on my saw. So let's go ahead and get these milled down and then we can join these boards together. So now that I have my boards down to my final thickness, which is 1 inch, we're ready to join these together on our router table using our reverse joint bit. Now my router table is unplugged and turned off. If you remember, we did a video a while back of how to set this table up using this bit. I'll link that up here if you're interested in referencing that for a more in-depth tutorial. Essentially all we've done though is measured halfway on our board, so 1/2 inch on this board in particular. I'm lining the tip of this carbide cutter here up with that halfway point. Now for my fence, I want my fence to be even with the back of my bit here. That way I'm gonna get a nice even cut all the way through. It's a reverse bit, so what I'm gonna do is run one of my panels through, being sure to label which is the top and the bottom, and then I'll flip the other panel over and run that through, and then they will join together. So let's go ahead and run these through, and then we can get ready to glue these up. As you can see, this is the cut that made, so that's gonna pair up nicely with our other piece. So let's go ahead and get these glued up. So I just got these laid into my clamps. I'm just gonna do a bead of glue on each of my joints in the grooves here, just to ensure I've got a good bond to both panels. And we're gonna do 2 clamps across the top as well, just to avoid any kind of warping or cupping as it's drying. Once it's dry, we can either sand it or send it through our planer just one more time, just to get a nice smooth seam on that joint. And then we'll be ready to cut to our final size. So now that our top is dry, we're ready to cut to our final size. Now it's already at our 36 inches long. We just need to get it to our 12 inches deep. So what we're gonna do is use our circular saw to cut a little bit off both sides, just get a nice square edge. I'm gonna use this straight edge here just to make sure my saw is staying straight. So let's go ahead and get that cut, and then we can drill for our corbels. We've got our top cut to size and we're ready to start measuring and adding our corbels, figuring out how far apart we want to space them. Now since this is a bigger shelf, we're actually going to pre-drill through our top and screw straight into the top of our corbel. And then we're going to add a plug and try to grain match that the best we can. So I'm going to do a 3-inch overhang on the side of each corbel, and then I'm going to flush it up with the back here just so that it stays nice and even against the wall. So I went ahead and measured out to a 3-inch overhang. So now that I have my corbels marked exactly where I want them to go, I'm going to take them off and go ahead and pre-drill into those spots. Then we're going to make some plugs just to try to match that grain. So as you can see, I'm drilling a 3/8 inch hole here on top of the one I just drilled for my screws. Now I'm not drilling all the way through just so that screw has something to sit on and grab in there. This is just for our plugs because I have a 3/8 inch plug cutting bit. So I'm just drilling down just a little bit to where I can get a little bit of a plug in there, and then we'll glue that down in there and cut that all flush. So I'm gonna turn it over and line it up on my marks one more time. Then I'm gonna take my original pre-drill bit that is the size of my screw, just run it through just so I can get a drill in my corbel, so I'm not gonna crack it at all. So I've got some offcuts from this same patch of lumber. So I'm gonna go ahead and just try to mark up exactly where I would like each plug. I've got a plug cutting bit. Now this is a 3/8 plug cutting bit. This is a tapered plug cutting bit. So what I'm gonna do is cut several plugs out and then go to my bandsaw and get those cut out. Okay, so I've got my plugs here. I'm just gonna pick which ones work best with each hole. I've got just a little bit of glue that I'm gonna dab on each one. So let's go ahead and get these inserted. All right, that's gonna wrap it up for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it helpful as you were working with your corbels. If you're interested in the mission style corbels from Osborne, I'll leave a link in the description for those, as well as some more information on dimensional lumber on our website. As always, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave us a comment if you have any ideas for future builds. Be on the lookout for future videos on the channel, and we'll see you next time in the Builder Studio.